ERRA have released new album. Silence outlives the earth.
In the shape of shitty waves of clouds. Where are you now? Are you hiding now?
Guys, it's peak. This is
pretty
this will be
good.
my fourth and final peak of the episode.
It's
Jacob, I
alright.
see you scratching your chin. It's all right.
It's like so.
Hmm.
Let's say Drift is the peak, and
Okay.
Cure was like a notch below that, and then let's say a step below that, and then a step below that was self-titled. This is like half a step down from Cure.
Okay.
I
see where
think
you're
I'm
coming from.
basically on the same page there, other than the analysis to anything pre-self-titled. I feel like Cure is my favorite of the 3 ERRA albums that I've heard. And I feel like this and self-titled kind of trade blows, where I think self-titled has more memorable peaks, but significantly lower valleys, whereas this is far more consistent across the board. But it doesn't peak nearly
Yes.
as high as either of their past 2 albums.
On that, I disagree. And I think that, for me, one of the biggest things, the trademark of an ERRA album, is that it inevitably has some sort of like 2 or 3 song run where I just get really uninterested before it loops me back in. Like, they really, in my opinion, struggle with pacing of albums and the kind of ebb and flow that creates a easy album listening experience, especially for music that's as technically impressive as ERRA's is, as well as potentially lyrically difficult. Is it complex? That's the word I'm looking for. Words have been hard today, I'll tell you what. But I think that whereas I agree that self-titled had higher peaks than Cure, I think Cure nailed the atmosphere in a way that self-titled didn't. For me, this album takes the best parts of Cure, the best parts of self-titled, and ERRA's general just stupidly impressive lyricism and instrumentation, and melds it in like the perfect formula. It's insane. I find myself being more compelled by this album than any other of theirs. And it really is just down to that album listening experience. It makes sense. The track listing makes sense. It's not like we've got this weird, like, oh my, self-titled. And it was in my top 10 albums of that year, I think. But like, the last 3 or 4 track run is really difficult to get through, man. It's just 20 minutes of atmosphere and samey sounding.
I think I can't. Cure, I think I had a problem with the closer and opener as well. Yeah, it did. Cure and
Mhm.
Wave, I think, were 2 of the weakest songs on that album. This album, for me, I think Stelliform is really good. Actually, I actually think the beginning, up until maybe Cicada Siren, I really love this album. This is a really good album, and then it just loses me. Like, I'm lost at the end of the album. I couldn't tell you what the 3 tracks at the end sound like, because I don't really care, because they're not
Really?
memorable to me.
Interesting.
But like,
I'm kind of with you
yeah,
there as well.
Stelliform, Further Eden, Gorbeing is memorable because it was a single. Yeah, Black Cloud's good as well. I don't even know if I could tell you anything about Cicada Siren, honestly, but
It's
they played it live, I'll tell you that, because I saw a cicada on the screen.
pretty dead giveaway. I think for me, what I really appreciate is that oftentimes when ERRA goes heavy, on like a track listing, they tend to lean into the heavy, and when they lean into the soft, they really lean into the soft. It's part of what I was mentioning with like the last 4 tracks of self-titled, that it's kind of a lot of the same. Whereas with this, like, Cicada Siren is really, well, I shouldn't say really heavy, but it's heavy. And it's kind of a lot. But when it's surrounded by Echo Sonata and Black Cloud, that are both more soaring, clean songs, it doesn't necessarily feel out of place, but for me, it's like okay, we're not going to stay in one place for too long. We're hitting that sweet spot for as long as it feels right, and then we're going back out of it. Like, for instance, if you get to Spiral, I would say that that's just at the threshold where the lucid threshold, where we've gotten to the point where it's just a little bit too many cleans. And if you have another one, you might lose me on the next track. But then you get into I, the Many Games of God, and 2 in the Gut of a Wolf, and all of a sudden, they're super heavy again, and it's like, okay, not only is the messaging and theming behind the song going to hit harder because the music hits harder, but it doesn't feel out of place. It feels like this is the natural progression of where I'd want to be after hearing the tracks, the last 3 tracks on the track list. I feel like such a dweeb for being like, well, see, you get to the track list at this point, and it feels good.
Why is your dweeb from the 50s?
Yeah, see?
I also don't... Man, I haven't really dive deep into this
Dug into?
lyrically. No, I'm talking about water here. Into lyrics or anything. I don't get the last 3 songs. Like, I don't get the 1, 2, 3. Is it like trying to be like a Lorna Shore thing where?
So
I have a story.
I have the information. I have a screenshot on my phone about this. I'm bringing receipts. So there was a AMA with ERRA when this dropped.
Oh, nice.
And somebody said, could we have like a 1 to 2 word description of the meaning or inspiration behind each song? And I guess I could go through them, but for at the very least, the last 3, 9 is the breakdown call out. Those in power, send your sons to purge the earth. Number 10 is waking up to the prevalence of atrocities. And then track 11 is finding healing and grace through openness, vulnerability, and art. And I think that works really well for tracks 9 and 10 being very heavy and transitioning well into one another. They'd almost work as a 6.5-minute song together. But track 11 is very mellow. It's almost serene. It's very... I'm in a meadow and there are a lot of bunnies and cute things around me and it's 72 degrees outside and the sun is like peeking through the clouds type of deal. Like, it's thematic. That to me, the soundscape of this album really pulls me in. I guess for the other tracks too, with Stelliform, Maintain Your Light, Further Eden, Modernity Has Failed Us, Gore of Being, Acceptance of Mortality. Black Cloud is an elegy that he wrote, I believe, around the time of the passing of his father. Number 5, Cicada Siren is Navigating Depression, which I feel like for me works really well because there's this like kind of all-encompassing hazy sound in the background of that song, which I feel like is a very good metaphor for depression. Number 6, Echo Sonata is Disconnection with Self or Ego Death. And then Lucid Threshold, Reality is Disappointing in comparison to Dreams. And then Spiral is My Heart is Waking Up. Anyway, for me, hearing more insight about, what they intended when writing these was something that helped me connect with the album a lot more. So maybe it will for you too. But I found myself enthralled by this album in a way that I haven't with any of their other tracks, or not tracks, sorry, with any of their other releases.
I found myself going back to Black Cloud and Spiral especially quite a bit. But a lot of the other non-singles for this kind of fell flat to me. Stelliform didn't do much for me as an opener. And same with Twilight as the closer also fell very flat. I've gone back to the 1-2 punch of the Many Names of God and In the Gut of the Wolf. And in the moment I recognized like, okay, wait, these 2 songs like go really well together. Like, this is sick. And then like I blink a few times and I'm just like bored and forget that I'm listening to the song.
I feel you.
Which is frustrating because like I really want to like both of those songs more than I actually do. I need to highlight the chorus of Spiral of Liminal Infinity. Jesse absolutely soars in that chorus, and like the tapping of the guitar underneath that is beautiful. One of the most memorable moments on this album for me. But I think the most memorable moment on this album for me, we didn't talk about it as a single, but Further Eden, track 2, that breakdown We were talking
Insane.
about breakdown, like most memorable breakdowns of the year. Further Eden is probably the most memorable breakdown of this year so far. I tried to convince you all that it sounds like the Windows XP shutdown sound, and I don't think I'm winning that argument, but I still believe it. Just the
thing is-
distorted tuning on it is just like, it's like nails on chalkboard if it didn't sound like ass.
Yeah. Wow. I actually don't think there is a better description for that. I think you killed it. And honestly, Jake, every time I listen to this album and hear that breakdown, I do think about your comment about the Windows XP sound, and I don't know if it's just placebo, but I've started to hear it. Like, you might have me. You might have me on that one. I will say, Justin, I know, I feel like, generally speaking, you might get a couple tracks off of an ERRA album, but your overall opinion is never that it's a good album, or rather one that you enjoyed. But it seems like you've enjoyed this a little bit more than previous releases. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I did like this. To be fair, I hadn't done a full listen of Cure since it dropped, and
Neither
there's
have
only
I.
like a few that I liked from the self-titled, but I really enjoyed this. I did listen to it front to back. Some of my favorites being Black Cloud, Twilight in the Reflection, and Spiral. I hadn't had much time to go back to them separately, but listening to the entire album front to back is a trip. It's really good.
Justin, you have to listen to Drift. I
Okay.
say this every time we.
I also need to listen to Drift.
It's
I will say,
it's peak era.
it seems like they are, not to give
I heard they're re-recording, or they want to at least.
yeah, it was they said, I'd love to do a soft rewrite or re-recording of Neon and maybe
Yeah.
a re-recording of Drift. So you potentially, not to delay your listen of Drift indefinitely, because it is a good album, but
Oh, if you
that's
give me the
something-
opportunity to delay it, it's being
Oh, I
delayed.
know
I was-
you will,
I was
bro.
about to say, Jake, you don't need to twist his arm about that.
I would say maybe then listen to Drift. If the mixing or production on it isn't your thing, then maybe wait. Because it is definitely has that kind of older, it's less polished than it is now, I would say.
That's fair.
Yeah,
But
this
it's
is my
still
favorite album
alive.
released so far this year. Easily, without a doubt.